when you can understand it, when you can see it, when you can feel it, when you've got that kind of level of understanding, then good things happen to you as an offense. And sometimes what you have to do is simple it down a little bit, right? So you can see that whole picture, so it doesn't become clouded. And I think that's what he means by, giving them the picture and painting that picture for that particular player. And I think that's important for everybody. I think it's really important to really not only say, hey, here's what we're going to run, here's how we're going to run it, this is why we're going to run it, and here's what it's going to do for us as a offense in totality or a defense in totality. So I think all those things become very, very important.
I found that soundbite alarming, Mark. The fact that you have to paint a perfect picture for Bo Nix to have success. Like, one, if you paint a perfect picture for virtually any quarterback in the league, they're going to have success. So that means he's not special. He's not a difference maker. And it also is how many times are you going to be able to paint the perfect picture? That seems like it's a tall order. So I found that soundbite alarming. Am I off base with that?
Yeah, well, I would say that you can paint the perfect picture every time from the standpoint of here's what we're trying to accomplish, here's why we're trying to accomplish it, right? So you have a better understanding of what we're trying to do. And I think it's really hard as a young player to have that kind of perspective. Like usually that perspective doesn't come until you're years 2 or 3 in the league. Like Mike Shanahan used to say, it was year 3 in an offense where the quarterback really totally knew that offense and where he knew what he liked and what he didn't like. And, one of the things I always say is you don't ever learn what you really don't like, why you don't like a play until you get your ass kicked running it. And then you realize, gosh, I put myself in harm's way because of this or because of that. And you get this sense of what you can and can't do when it comes to, certain plays. And so I think that's a big part of why we do things and that global understanding. I think to be able to get it now, so I would argue with you, to be able to give that to you now and be able for you as a young player to absorb it and kind of understand it, that to me points to a guy who's got advanced learning and is ahead of the game right now at the quarterback position.
Hey, I don't find it alarming at all, James. I think you look at a guy who's playing his third NFL game, his third start. I think you have to do that. I think we see this huge bust rate with quarterbacks that get drafted, 80% bust rate with these quarterbacks that get drafted in the first round. We just watched poor Bryce Young, get benched. We see a lot of these rookie quarterbacks struggle. I think it's a positive if you're putting together that picture and that he's able to go out and execute it. I just think you're falling into a trap where you're asking to see things in the third start of an NFL career that quite honestly, I think you're going to be hard-pressed to find any quarterback who's making his third start, and you're coming away going, wow, this is a guy who clearly doesn't need to have the picture painted for him, clearly is going out and showing how special he is. A lot of these quarterbacks are struggling. I'll take a guy who goes out in his third NFL start and is accurate, he's on time, he's not getting rattled. Okay, maybe he's not doing anything with his arm that you would go back and say, wow, that's special. I would say just being able to go out and run an offense in an efficient, smooth way in your third NFL start, I think that's eye-opening. That's above the norm.
I think you're grading him on a curve because it's his third NFL start. I think if you paint a perfect picture for Jarrett Stidham, they're going to go out and have success. Like to me, if you're special, they don't have to paint a perfect picture for you.
I think when you're in your third NFL start, you do. I think you do.
Okay, fine. But to me...
And I don't think that should be held against him.
How many times is Sean Payton going to paint a perfect picture? He clearly didn't in the first 2 weeks. So right now, the batting average is 1 out of 3. He's batting .333.
We went into the season feeling like the defensive line could be the strength of this football team. And, boy, did you see it yesterday. The pressure that they were putting on, Zach Allen's your Pro Bowler. I mean, along with Pat Surtain, those are your 2 Pro Bowlers right now on this team. They've been your 2 best players. but you had Malcolm Roach, you had John Franklin Myers, 7 sacks, Mark. 7 sacks. And to me, you'll have a chance to look at the film a little bit more in detail today, but that defense and Riley Moss as that opposite corner, which was such a black hole last year, to see what he's been. Vance Joseph is doing a very, very, very nice job with this defense. And if you're thinking about what we can take from this win yesterday that can be sustainable, that we can build upon, I don't see any 70-20s out there on the Broncos' horizon.
We're back.
No, what I see is Vance Joseph working his way back into, if they continue to play this way, another opportunity to be a head coach. And we all know that it's usually not your first go-around where you have success. It's usually your second go-around where you have success. So if this defense continues to do what they do, you may just see this opportunity come his way, which would be, to me, that'd be cool for him to get another opportunity like that.
A pretty remarkable turnaround, though, when you think about it. Mike, you mentioned the 70-20. That was essentially a year ago.
Yeah.
A calendar year ago, They were giving up 70 points. And now, all of a sudden, it's a defense that's good enough. They have a 3-0 defense at this point. Their defense has played well enough through the first 3 games that they should be in that conversation. Now, the offense has let them down. But that's why I do think, and, TD didn't like my question, but that's why I do think the formula they put forth yesterday is sustainable. They ran the ball, right? They had, 28 carries, I think, threw it 36 times. That's not perfect balance, but it's a heck of a lot closer. And their defense was able to get pressure on Baker Mayfield without having to be a bunch of exotic blitzes, right? Like if you have to blitz and bring 5 or 6 guys to get pressure, at some point good quarterbacks are going to beat you. But if you can get pressure with 4 and do it consistently, which they did, that makes you really, really difficult to beat.
I'm really curious to see this upcoming weekend. I want to bask in the beauty of this win before we start turning the page to the Jets, but Baker Mayfield has had a nice renaissance to his career. He's developed into a good, solid quarterback, but they're going to be seeing big boy quarterbacking next weekend. Big boy quarterback, and I'll be curious to see how this defense translates on the field against the Jets, because that's big boy quarterbacking right there.
Yeah, you watch because Aaron didn't play. Rodgers didn't really play well the first couple games of the season. But Thursday night against a New England team that I'm just going to tell you guys, New England's a big physical football team, man. They pound you a little bit. And Aaron was exceptional in that game and distributed it to a bunch of different receivers with multiple catches. He was really good. You're 100% right. Aaron is back to playing kind of top-notch, Hall of Fame type of quarterback. And they're going to have a huge challenge ahead of them.